So, Circle. Many of you know Guy Sangstock, one of the co-creators of Arate, and really the driving force behind it, especially the last few years. Creator of the transformation course and leadership training, and a ton of things. He's done trainings for the Circle. He is, in my experience, kind of the heart of circling, the heart of the generative process of what it is we do out at the beach. And I've been working with him for the last year, and I got him to talk about circling. What is circling? How did circling start at the beach? What was it like on the beach before the men's circle became the men's circle with the rules and standards? So I'm just going to turn it over to him and give him a chance to tell you some stories about what it was like in the beginning, and how what he's learned in that process can benefit the circle and benefit you personally in your life. So,
Jerry and I got together, Candelaria and David Niebauer. We had our basic connection was we had done the Sterling Men's Weekend, which I have I have my own mixed feelings about that. But what was so cool is I got to meet Jerry and I got to meet David Niebauer. And then we went to Burning Man together. And I believe it was Matt Green was there, Damian Jones, Tom Roble, myself, Jerry. Who else was there? There was someone else. Somebody else was there. I can't remember exactly who it was. But we ended up in this wooden structure, right? It was Burning Man, This like kind of wooden structure that was this circle, but it was like this kind of spiral. And we just it was out in the middle of nowhere. And we just ended up in the circle. And Jerry and I just started circling. We had no intentions on doing anything. But we stayed up all night and we did this thing that we didn't have a name for. And time disappeared, space disappeared, any notions of ourselves disappeared. And at the end of that experience, Jerry and I looked at each other and we were like, what the hell was that? I think he said that. And I was like, fuck if I know, but it was something good. And he's like, yeah, that was something fucking spectacular. And we just shook on it and we committed to whatever that was to bring it out into the world. And that handshake was really, when I look back on it, it was the beginning of so many things. It was the beginning of the men's circle. It's the beginning of Arate. It was the beginning of the gratitude parties. It was the beginning of the radiance parties. It's the beginning of all of these kind of urban tribal things. It's like turned into all these different cultures have spurred out of that handshake. And I would have to say that really, that when we first started doing the men's circle, which was, I think was right after that, the men's circle was really the place where we developed circling, where we discovered it.
Right, and to be clear, this is the men who circled on the beach before the current thing that we call the men's circle became the men's circle with the rules and the standards. This is pre, because on the beach they call it the men's circle, and that's from the point of when the rules and standards were created. Right? That's just like to distinguish it as a specific entity. There's the men's circle, and then there was circling that was done on the beach before it. And that's kind of the terminology we use. So just to clarify for people on the watching the video, there's the men's circle, which is after that.
Yes.
And then there's the stuff you guys did.
Standards and rules. Well, this is what it was like. David would pick me up. Then he'd pick up Jerry. We'd like get out some crumpled piece of paper. We used to write CPRs for the circle on the way there. You know, David was always like, kind of like, you know, I had conflicts. We like hated processy stuff, and usually some argument between him and Jerry, and like, and then we kind of like, you know, but it was all heart. The whole thing was about heart, and like we're just gonna dive into it and see what happens. And so we'd step out onto the beach, and we'd start a fire, and we would start circling. And there were some things that happened out there that I still boggle my mind. There were discoveries made. There were profound fuck-ups. Profound fuck-ups when I look back now. Yet there was a purity there, there was a spontaneity there was an intention there was a heart there to get at the heartbeat of whoever was being circled. Who were they? Like, who were they, and are you fucking doing it? Like, are you actually alive? Are you totally expressed? Are you, like, anything in the way in that space of circling showed up as, we got to do something about this. Now, how we related to that became more and more artful as time went on, right? More and more artful as time went on. Yet at the same time, I remember having experiences. This one time where I believe David was going through something, and I just read this Rilke poem. And I closed it. I got done reading it, and we just stayed silent, and we watched the sun go down in total silence for like an hour and a half. And it was as if we were hovering in a kind of sense of profundity of life. It was like the infinite moment of now. It was just present. There was nothing to say. There was no discomfort in not saying it, and everyone was alive and present to being alive in total silence. And we ended a circle. And then there were things that, like, there were things I think back on and I go, man, I would never do that again.